go first?
I'm Elaine.
I'm Adam.
And we heard about the show from an A4 black and white printout that was sitting on a poster.
Yep. With a seductive looking Bugs Bunny that kind of got drawn into. So, yeah, I liked it very much. I thought there was a whole right mixture of things, from kind of stuff I was familiar with maybe a few extra scenes, things which were surreally obscene, and the black and white stuff in the middle. I wasn't quite sure who was taking what when they did that, where it came from. I was very curious about the black and white, the very graphic pornography. And I'm sure there was Schnoz Duranty in there somewhere, one of the cats with a great big red nose. The voice sounded like him. And we were talking about the cartoon with the masked man. My guess was that was Lenny Bruce doing a monologue when he played all the different scenes, and somebody kind of put that to cartoon. And I was curious if that was done with Lenny Bruce's kind of authority and when it was done and everything. So that was great. I remember the Lenny Bruce thing about the prison break, and he was talking about, where are the bullets? Oh, look in the back of my brown slacks. He used to do this monologue, but it wasn't a monologue. He would be a monologue, but he'd play all the parts in some crazy scene. And I think that was what we were seeing, set to some surreal cartoon. But I liked it. It was great.
Where are you from?
Originally from Ireland,
And
and from Switzerland.
I'm from Britain. We both lived and met in Switzerland. We both live and met in Switzerland. So I'm from Britain, Berlin's from Ireland.
So you enjoyed yourself?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, it was unusual. It was the Warner Brothers were great. You could see they were trying to be a little bit edgy, but certainly mainstream.
I think they were edgy. They weren't trying to be edgy. I think they were edgy.
Yeah.
Trying to be means failed,
Yeah.
and those are edgy.
And there's a couple there that, of course, everybody has seen clips of or parts of those series, and then there's a couple that are just you can see that they didn't age well. That it was the Second World War one, where they were set in the South Pacific, and you could tell that I knew exactly why I've never seen that before, because it didn't age well, but it was very much of the time when, and even the
that one's banned.
you can see why now it's banned. Of course, at the time it was propaganda and potentially also the.
Well, at the time we were being killed.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it would have
you
been
can understand why people wanted to think of them as evil and ridicule them.
But
it's
evil
easier.
and very different and extremely stupid.
Well, yes, but the Japanese and German and Italian war propaganda is exactly the same.
Well, the war
of course.
propaganda was just like cutting from scenes of Jews walking around and then to rats and so on. It was hardly.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
And the three Germans, obviously Adolf Hitler and
Goering and Goebbels.
Goering, but I thought Goebbels was the propaganda minister, but he didn't. Goering looked like Goering with the big fat thing with the white suit. He had his white uniform made up, but I didn't recognise Goebbels apart from the fact that he was so
the green
sinister.
guy.
Very good.
Yeah, I was wondering who the green guy was.
Oh, that was Goebbels. Yeah.
But the black and white stuff in the middle that was just plainly obscene with this kind of comedy.
Well, that was just done for the animators. Doing all that stuff, they would just do it to get their own, just as a break from the tedium.
That would have been just fun, the sort of sex with animals and so on.
And the other one at the end was done for a big party, industry party for Winsor McKay in New York in the late 1920s. Every studio in Hollywood had a penis in that one.
So that was a kind of in-joke. That was an animator's kind of in gag.
It was just something that they knew they couldn't do for the public, but they could do it for themselves.
Yeah.
It's a legendary piece of work, actually.
Certainly. Betty Boo, I had seen some clip before that Betty Boo, I was aware that Betty Boo was kind of saucy, and I'd seen something where they'd done a kind of, they freeze-framed at a point where Betty Boo clearly had a gust of wind and clearly had no knickers on, and it was just one frame where you could see, what would be where her knickers would have been. But she was as saucy as hell, and the whole thing was obviously slightly pornographic. It was to
A lot of people don't get it because they don't think when they're watching it. And the visual gags in that cartoon are really cool because the message is you get the freshmen arrive in hell. They get horns, they get long tails. So the message is when you go to hell, of course the house gets turned on fire. So the message is when you go to hell, you get hot and horny and you get a lot of tail.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the thing which I did pick up. I reckon I was probably picking up maybe a quarter of them, but I was aware that there were lots of puns in there, like the clock putting on the gloves, which obviously was the hands of the clock, and Betty Boo was giving him an icy stare, which was never spelt out, and the cold shoulder with a big ice cube and so on. But I guess there were probably a lot more of those.
Well, people actually watch movies then, so they pick up on them. Today, because of sound, we hardly ever look at a movie. We listen to it, we don't watch it.
Would these have been
Pre-code.
So these would have been talkies.
No, the Fleischer Studio started before talkies. These were made during the talkie period, but the style that they'd established was based on silent films.
Yeah,
so a lot of visual gags.
And a lot of musical gags with a lot of kind of cymbal clashes for explosions and things.
But today, because people don't really watch movies, the accent is on sound gags, verbal gags, and not so much, not at all anymore on visual gags, which makes the films not that rich to look at.
Yeah, I see. You can see that kind of evolutionary link that it still had they still got used to doing gags in a way that didn't require sound.
And then they were designed for the theaters, not for television. So in the theaters, anything went, really, because you had to entertain. See, the theaters at that time sat 5,000 people first run. And a ticket price for a first run movie beginning with The Birth of a Nation in 1915 was $2 a seat in a main theater, which would be like charging over $50 today for a movie. So the experience of going to the movies was completely unlike what we now experience.
And what was Betty Boo's Boo Boopy Doo? Was this some kind of pun for it?
Well, it came from a singer named Helen Kane who had a song called Boop Boop Doop.
Right, okay, that's what I came from.
Yeah. And Betty actually eclipsed her in popularity, which upset her no end. But Betty was created by a man named Grim Natwick at the Fleischer Studio, and Grim was a friend of mine in the last 10 years of his life. I had him as a personal mentor. And
He was the creator of Betty.
yes, he was.
Betty Boo.
He was also the man at the art school in Vienna that chose over Adolf Hitler.
So he was the other.
The art school in Vienna that Adolf Hitler applied to only accepted one new student a year. And the student they accepted over Adolf Hitler was Grim Natwick, the man who created Betty Boop.
Good.
He also animated the character Snow White for Walt Disney. And he saw himself as the man responsible for World War II.
Yeah, if only Hitler got it accepted, maybe he would have been a lot happier man.
Well, he wouldn't have gone into politics, that's one thing.
It's like the Izzard gag. It's like you're saying, I can't get the tree, so damn, I will invade the whole world.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you, and thank you for letting me shoot this with you.
No, that's no, I really
it's
enjoyed
really
it.
enjoying.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Cheers.